Continuing order of operations. For the example, evaluate the formula x bar, or the expression x bar plus z times s, for when x bar is equal to 30, z is equal to -2, and s is equal to 6. So we're going to plug all those numbers into that formula. So we're going to get 30 plus -2 times 6. Now applying order of operations, -2 times 6 gives you -12. So 30 minus 12 is equal to 18. The next example, we want to evaluate x minus x bar over s. For when x is equal to 6, x bar is equal to 8, and s is equal to 3. So plugging in the values, we get 6 minus 8 over 3. Well, 6 minus 8 is going to give us a negative number, which is 2, so it's -2 over 3. Our next example, we have to evaluate x bar minus t times s over the square root of n. For when x bar is equal to 15, t is equal to 3, s is equal to 8, and n is equal to 16. So there's two ways that we can look at this. The first one is we're going to plug in x bar to 15 minus t, which is 3, times 8 over the square root of 16. So we need to follow order of operations, which means we need to take the square root of 16 first. So we have 15 now minus 3 times 8 over 4. Well, 8 divided by 4 gives us 2. So now we have 15 minus 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. So 15 minus 6 gives us a result of 9. And now another way of being able to do this is by having the same problem here, which is 15 minus 3 times 8 over 4. So this 3 times 8 over 4 is the same thing as 3 over 1, which gives you 3 times 8, which is 24 over 4, and that's how you're getting that result. So now we have 15 minus 24 over 4, which is 6, and 15 minus 6 is equal to 9. Next, we want to be able to be comfortable using calculator to perform operations, and especially with statistics, there'll be times where you're going to have to do that. So we want to round our result to the second decimal place. So let's take a look at this first example. Okay, so we have our numerator where we're going to add all these numbers and divide by 4. So when we're putting in this in the calculator, we want to put everything in the numerator in parentheses. So we're going to start with left parenthesis and then have 34.6 plus 67.4 plus 24.4 plus 97.2. And then we're going to close the parentheses, and then we're going to use our division bar, so we're going to have divide by the number of 4. And then we get the result of 55.9. So we don't have a second decimal, so we're going to leave it as 55.9. Okay, so next we have square root of 0.34 times 1 minus 0.34 over 60. So again, depending on your calculator, you want to be comfortable in being able to use order of operations to get your result. So there's a few ways to go about this. We can do it all in one way, or we can go in an order of operations way. Okay, order of operations. The first thing we need to do inside the parentheses is 1 minus 0.34. So let's go ahead and do that. So 1 minus 0.34. Okay, so that's 0.66. And then what we have to do is we have to multiply it by 0.34. So let's multiply that by 0.34, and that gives you that result. Then we need to divide it by 60. So we're going to divide that number by 60. Okay? And then we can take this number and take the square root of it. So we could either take that number, and I'm going to show you one way where you can just rewrite this number, or you can do a shortcut. And a shortcut I mean by is, okay, if you use the second button in some of your calculators, you're going to hit second, and then you see the square root symbol. We have the square root symbol. And then we're going to put in this number, or if you look down here where it says ANS on calculators, it's already stored what this previous answer is. So if I hit second and then it says ANS, it's going to put that number that you just got for your previous answer. And then hit parentheses, and then that should give you 0.06. Now, you can also, if you don't want to do it that way, then you can hit the square root button and then put in 0.00374 and then close the parentheses, and you still should get the exact same number. Next, we have part C. So we're going to put this entire numerator in parentheses and then divide it by the number 5. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have 13.5 plus 29.2 plus 31.4 plus 46.5 plus 32.4, and then close that with the parenthesis. And now we're going to divide it by the number 5, and rounding it to 2 decimal places would be 30.6, since it doesn't have any more decimals or any numbers after the 0.6. So let's take a look at part D. So we're going to do it very similar to what we did in the previous one. We're going to do order of operations. So we have 1 minus 0.73. So 1 minus 0.73. We're going to hit enter. And then we're going to take that number and then multiply it by 0.73. So multiply that by 0.73 or 0.73. And we get that number. And now we need to divide it by 50. So we're going to divide that number by 50. And there's our number that's going to be inside the radical sign. So now we're going to take the square root, so second with the square root symbol. And again, if we want to put in the stored answer, the previous answer, we're going to hit second and then hit the answer key and then parentheses, and then we should get 0.06. Now let's try another way if we want to do this. So let's say if we just want to put this answer in completely, this entire problem. So put in the second square root, right? And then you have a parenthesis here, but we want this numerator to be by itself. So we're going to have to add a second left parenthesis and then put in this information. So we're going to put in 0.73, and then we're going to put in the parentheses, right? Left parenthesis 1 minus 0.73. And then we're going to end that parenthesis. Now we still have this parenthesis that we used for the numerator, so we're going to make sure we close that. So now we have that all contained. Then we're going to divide that number by 50. Now, you see here, we have 1, 2, 3 left parentheses. On this side, we only have 2. So we need a third parenthesis to be able to complete that. So now if we hit enter, we're going to get the same result. So whenever you want to just plug in the entire problem, you need to be careful on how many parentheses that you're using, and you want to use parentheses to be able to contain all the information so you get the correct answer.